You're listening to WKDW 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. This is John Rawlings, and I'm hosting Brian Lincoln and Carmine Miranda. Did I say that correctly, Carmine?
Yes, you did, John. Excellent. Thank you.
All right. So I know that Chuck was just calling me Mr. English, and he's probably saying, "Where are you at?" Well, we had just a little glitch, and we came right back as quick as we could. So we are like 1 minute delayed in this whole thing, but I'm going to throw it to Carmine real quick because I think we're going to talk a little bit about the new city manager, and I thought I'd just throw it at you and let you run with it.
Okay. I think you meant to say Brian.
Well, no, you know what? I was going to throw it at you because I was going to throw it back at Brian here in a couple seconds to let him talk about Northport Forward.
Okay. Yeah. So, city manager. The city's in negotiations with Jerome, the city manager that the commission voted 4-1, and listening to Jerome speak and listening to Matt LaSurf speak. Northport has had two good candidates to consider. I think Jerome will be a major asset to the city and moving the city in the right direction. Very personable, has a lot of experience handling, I believe it's over 1 million residents and double the square miles that we have here in Northport. So I look forward to his tenure here and bringing the experiences that he has in the years that he's been working in those fields, and we look forward to him joining Northport.
Awesome. Brian, Northport Forward plays or is trying to play a big role in getting information out to the citizens. Have you found that with the new hiring of the city manager that more people are getting involved and they're looking for resources like yours at Northport Forward to kind of hone in on getting updates?
Well, that would be ideal. I'm hoping, like Commissioner Langdon, I listened to her speaking to you last Monday, I believe it was.
Yep.
About, there was a pretty low turnout for the meet and greet for the city manager, which was disappointing. But on the other side of that, I think the guy that we've got coming in, Jerome Fletcher, is someone who, and I was there to meet him, and so I did, and we talked about how he was going to interact, and he really made it a point to say that getting out to the people was high on his priority list to make sure that everyone here knows him, knows what he's doing, knows why he's doing what he's doing, and what the outcomes are supposed to be, and all along the path, making sure they're aware of the progress that's being made. I looked at Jerome, or actually the city manager position. I was looking for someone who was capable, had the right skill set, somebody who was innovative, and someone who was a driver who could deliver on that vision that the commission puts together. And, everything I heard from him pointed in all those right directions. He's got a very strategic mind, and he's got a very transparent mindset when it comes to doing his job. And, like I said, he really wants to get out and meet the people, which that's perfect for Northport Forward, because that's what we want to do. We want to try to facilitate that happening, and making those connections as much as we can, working in conjunction with Jerome when he comes in and gets into position and starts moving forward.
Right. And so I know that COVID kind of delayed a little bit of I think the impact that you guys could have had at Northport Forward with a lot of the community members, because you were not able, one, to get out and meet people for over a year. And on the other side of that, people weren't gathering. So it's very difficult to start a group even on Facebook. I have to admit that Facebook is a great tool when you're out and about and people see you in the public eye. It's a lot different than the Facebook interaction from start to finish. Are you looking forward, forward in
Always.
this year? I know we've got some COVID stuff going on. I'm a little bit happier with the numbers than most people out there because the ticker tape at the bottom of the TV is now not death toll; it's more hospitalization toll. And
Right.
it sounds to me like we've almost got this layered down to flu-like symptoms, which we were supposed to be okay with. So I'm kind of in a mix. I would highly suggest if you haven't gotten the vaccine, I'm telling you I got it and I've finished fine. I had 2 people in my household after the first shot who had COVID. I was the caregiver. I never got it, never, and it's supposed to help. I'm not telling you have to go get it. I don't want to intermix freedoms. I'm a firm believer that I serve this country for the right to choose, and I think that people need to step up and voice their opinion on either side of the issue. I like Northport Forward in that regard because you're wanting to engage voices. Your mission is really to get out there and get people in Northport on board so that they can move the city forward. Correct?
Absolutely correct. This is, you mentioned about the COVID, and that's definitely something that the board members have been talking about as having an impact on us getting traction this year. So we're re-looking at our strategy moving forward because we do want to have interactions with the citizenry. And so I'm thinking we're going to end up with probably a hybrid of a Zoom call with live open meetings so people can come in and voice their opinions on whatever topics happen to be on the schedule for that meeting. We want to bring in people from the city and elsewhere to present information and have a live audience of citizens that can interact with them real time. Because we think that's pretty crucial. Because when you're looking at Facebook, that's great. It's a great tool. But that live interaction, that humanity, if we bring the humanity into this, I think we're going to get a lot further, a lot quicker. And in bringing in the new city manager now, I think the word on Monday was momentum. And I love that word too. And we should be grabbing onto it and just running with it. Keep it moving, keep it moving, keep it moving. So we're Northport Forward is looking at our organizational strategy and how we move forward in a very serious way, because we want to be the most effective that we can in any of the endeavors that we get involved with. And so one of the things we also want to encourage is that we're looking for folks to get a hold of us if they've got anything on their mind that they want to pursue or they would like us to pursue. Facebook, let's go to the facebook.com/Northport Forward. And, look us up. You can put a comment in there. You can send us an email. We've got something posted all the time. So it's live. It's ready to go. And really want to hear from Northport citizens. What's on your mind? What needs to be changed? What needs to be improved? What needs to go away? We want to hear it. We want to hear it all. And we really would like to have some help from the citizenry. We're going to give you a platform. If you'll come and work with us, we're going to get this taken care of. Because I know that one of John's pet peeves is elections and voting and people coming out and participating in government. Because if we don't, the government's still going to be there. Things are still going to happen. Decisions are still going to be made. And it's a matter of do we want our thoughts and opinions heard before that happens. So, and I think, Northport Forward wants to be one of those conduits between city and citizens to inform, educate, and engage.
Well, and I'm going to go one step further with what you're trying to do, because I've been part of these groups before, and the beauty in it is something that happened a few weeks back on my show, where I had a call in, and I had really two people who didn't see eye to eye on any topic that they knew of, and yet at the end of the conversation, it was kind of cool to listen to them, for the most part, stay focused. I say this for a purpose, is to stay focused on one topic at a time, instead of brush stroking. I don't like that person. I think they actually found some common ground with each other, which I think both of them are really cool with their insight and with their drive. They both have a really high level of drive to give back to the city and to get the city on track. But a group like Northport Forward really gives people a different type of platform. What I'm really tired of, and you can throw your hat in the ring on this, but Northport Forward is a group of people trying to move things forward, where people on Facebook usually are a group of people taking shots at each other. You get nowhere with the pot shots. And the reason I brought the show in from a couple weeks ago is that what we saw was two people who were on pretty much opposite side come center. And if we can get more people to engage with a group like Northport Forward, can't we draw some center and get more things accomplished versus the fighting on both sides? What do you think, Brian?
Absolutely. I think, you see, if you ever comment on articles or whatever online, people tend to be very defensive. They go to their ultimate position and they take a life or death stand on it. And then the next person does the same thing, and so on and so forth. And you don't really get anywhere, which is kind of why, we think that having this open forum of having a live Zoom and live people engaged in a topic of discussion, we can get past those defensive points and into a collaborative area where we can say, okay, well, we do have some wiggle room on both sides, but we got to get to the place where those wiggle rooms overlap. And that takes a little bit of interaction. It takes that human touch to it, rather than typing in on the technology and hoping that somebody understands exactly where you're coming from. So, one of the things that we're revising or upgrading, I should say, our website. And one of the things we're going to try to build into it is basically a blog where we're going to have topics, and we'll have like champions of a topic. So for water and sewer, Carmine would put a summary out there, and maybe he writes a position of, here's where I'm thinking I'm at on this. What do you think? And have citizens engage that way. And then from these types of things, I'm seeing us having the opportunity to identify where the real hotspots are, where the real interests are of everyday citizens who don't have the time to go to all these city hall meetings and keep up with the website, the city website, and just decipher what's on there. And so this is a way to get a conversation started. And then once we get that rolling, then we have another open meeting. It's a Zoom call, it's an in-person meeting, and we get some interaction going. And I know that the folks that participate in your shows, John, they're doers because they're already interacting. We need more doers. Get involved, say your piece. Let's move forward with this, because otherwise we're just stagnating.
Well, and I'm going to point this out too, because last Monday I had a gentleman who finally asked questions, and I really appreciated the fact that, one, he was chiming in on the show, but two, I can only ask certain style questions, and I don't want to take pot shots at people. I actually want you guys to feel comfortable enough to engage, but I also want the listeners to have the opportunity to ask a question, because the most important part of a show like this, as in Northport Forward, if we don't listen to people who are listening to us, the show doesn't go anywhere. It's truly not about my opinion on the show, just like it's not your opinion solely on Northport Forward. And I'm going to go to Carmine now because he is consistently shaking his head through this whole conversation. But I'd like to let you kind of fill in some blanks there if you have any that you'd like to add.
Shaking my head because I'm agreeing with both of you. I think you get a lot of problems solved when people listen to each other and understand different viewpoints. And no matter how old we are, we listen to other people, we read other things, and we learn. We're constantly learning. If we can do better as a city and move forward, then by all means, let's all get together. This is all of our city. We all chose to live here. Some folks were born here, and we just want to make this the best place, And we don't know all the answers. And by talking to other people, that certainly opens up, other areas to look at. Plus, more importantly, you make other contacts, and you've got some subject matter experts in different fields that can help us. So that's basically the dialogue is key, and let's keep our emotions, at bay. And we're all here for one common thing: to make this city the best that it possibly can be.
I think if we could get together a good, solid group of people, even just the listeners right now, and really just go down and make a checklist of where they're at on a certain position. I think a lot of the people who are Facebook opponents with each other would tend to come dead center on probably 50% of what is out there. But because they can't seem to get out of their own way a lot of times and open their ears and their heart and listen and feel a little bit, they kind of build some walls up. And I really appreciated Brian's trying to tear walls down, because that's really what I did a couple of weeks ago, is allow them to actually tear their own walls down. And I think they were actually both surprised at the end of the day that they tended to agree a lot on certain parts of the issues. Now, the other parts you work out. But you get, I just find that, and you guys tell me if you agree, you tend to get more by working with someone and not trying to sway them, but to get them involved so that everybody in the group understands. But if you don't move something forward, no pun intended with Northport Forward, if you don't move something forward, it just seems like you're bickering all the time. And I think we have that a lot in Washington. I just don't want to see it on the local level, because we can get a lot done if we have citizens behind us. Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's always been my approach to problem solving is to first listen, because that leads to understanding. And so if you have people come together with the intention of trying to solve a problem, then first of all, you're bringing some respect with you. So you respect the other person's opinion. You may not agree with it, but you should listen and try to understand it, because if you don't really understand it, you're not going to be able to overcome it if it has any downside to it, or if it doesn't line up with what you're coming with. So, you can't understand unless you listen. And so I'd like to think that Northport Forward is providing an opportunity for other people to listen to what the individual has to say. And so that we're going to find out that there are more people that think this way than we think, and there's more people that we think another way than we think there are. And when we come together, we're going to have some sort of overlap of those that's going to be able to be satisfactory to all parties, and we can actually move forward.
Yep.
Hence the name Northport Forward.
Absolutely. And I'm going to throw this back at Carmine for a second, because there are some really hot topics out there. Orville Springs has been hot button for us. Even the new city manager has been a hot button for us. and in conversations on multiple shows. So I'm gonna throw something at you now, which is the water and sewer, and I'm gonna throw it at Carmine because this is another hot topic that people need to really pay attention to, and really understand what's going on. Because right now, I don't think everybody is on the same page as far as understanding even what's happening. On Monday, for example, we were talking about what perspective is in starting all this. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years out. And we're not talking about the whole entire city, for the love of Pete. We're talking about a section of Northport. So I think when people get misinformation, they try to blow up a whole city, and good luck with that, because we would love to engage the whole city. So if they have a secret to that, I would love to figure that one out myself. But I'm going to throw it back at you, because you've got some insight coming in now for the water and also what's happening elsewhere, correct?
Yes. Thank you, John. I mentioned on the show the last time I was on that, the focus tends to be on the septic tanks. And if you really look at this, it's really not about septic. It's about the quality of our water. Because what the septics do, leaching out and other, variables that contaminate our drinking water, that's where the road. I mean, we're even looking at now purifying wastewater so that we can have some clean drinking water. So it's all about the drinking water. So what I'd like to do is just do a little recap on water and sewer as far as where we are. And as everybody knows, the governor signed in 2016 the Clean Waterways Act. It was Senate Bill 712. Since that time, court approved Water and Wastewater Expansion Master Plan. That was in December of 2020. They approved the design. It's being developed for phase one, which encompasses the Blue Ridge, Salford North neighborhoods. The design completion, and like you mentioned, John, things take time. The design completion in May of 2022. And if it's approved, plus if the funding is available, then they'll start construction on laying the pipes and stuff for the water and sewer. But there's 29 sewer sheds in the city, and they're talking about, good 30 years before any of this is completed. And like you said, it's not the entire city. So an update just happened in July regarding Northport created a canal and creek water quality monitoring plan. And they were actually required to prepare bacteria pollution control plan in 2021. Back in March of 2011, the EPA deemed the Big Slough waterway impaired with fecal coliforms. I just don't like that reference. So yeah, I'm glad that we're finally coming forward and putting a plan together. The plan is expected to start October 1st of this year, and it will go to 30th of 2024. Basically, at the end of each year, data will be collected and will be determined if they need to make any modifications. There are going to be 7 areas to be tested. They're calling them S1 through S7, and it's going to be by a contract lab. I've heard rumors of Aquarium doing some of the testing. I'm not totally sure on that. And also, it involves the city staff. Different things that the contract lab will look at would be ammonia, nitrates, phosphorus, chlorophyll, E. coli, total hardness of the water. Also, something very interesting, sucralose. Now, sucralose is not naturally occurring, but it is in all of our food. And I think that's the tracer that will determine, if the septics are leaching into our river and waterways, because where does sucralose come from? It comes from the food that we eat. And also, it's unfortunate that pet food for dogs and cats have some of that stuff in it as well. So But it points to, the septic tanks. The city staff basically will look to do things such as, the overall depth of the water, and it's naturally based on weather and flow. They'll be looking at the field salinity, the freshness of the water, looking at dissolved solids, the water temperature, and that would be seasonal based on the seasonal variations. They'll be looking at the pH, making sure that to determine whether or not there's any abnormal conditions. Plus, they call it field turbidity, which fluctuates with the flow, turbidity, with turbulence, upstream erosion, and any abnormal conditions. So with that, there's step forward here to do the testing, and it couldn't happen soon enough. So that's pretty much a recap on water and sewer. But I have two other areas that happen to contribute to our water and our environment. And one of those is Lake Okeechobee with the water discharge. Now, apparently the Army Corps of Engineers feels that by releasing water to the West Coast, that the West Coast is better able to handle discharges. And now we have a Port Charlotte County Water Quality Manager, Brandon Moody, is working feverishly to challenge that, and he's spearheading the resistance to this plan. The final choice as to what they do doesn't happen until November of 2022. So I'm urging the citizens to give their opinions. And I have a website here that they can send an email to and let the Army Corps of Engineers know exactly how they feel. And that is Lake O Comments at usace.army.mil.
Carmine, when you get done with the show today, will you put that link as a comment so that people have that? And I also have a couple things from Chuck English. So there's not going to be any sediment analysis to look at contaminants?
There is, as far as contaminants, they're going to be looking at so they'll be checking for, this will be the contract lab, ammonia, nitrate, nitrogen, orthophosphorus, total phosphorus, chlorophyll, E. coli bacteria, sucralose, biological oxygen demand. It's elevated levels of BODs can indicate the possibility of septics leaching from septic systems into surface waters. You're looking at total copper, total zinc, and also total hardness. There's a certain, I guess, minimum allowable level that we're able to have. So with that, also the city staff will basically be monitoring general weather and site conditions at the time of sampling. Things such as whether or not it's a sunny day, a cloudy day, a rainy or windy conditions, the clarity of the water, the smell of the water, presence of floating vegetation, algae, wildlife, and any abnormal conditions that can influence sample data. So pretty much those are the things that they will be looking at. Hope I answered Chuck's question.
Yeah, I think you did. And Chuck is really on top of this as far as that goes. So this is a strictly water test. So I want to think in rereading his first question, are they checking for any chemicals at all?
I mean, aside from the items that have been listed, I'm not sure when we talk about chemicals, could it be like things like paint thinner and stuff of that nature?
If you will, Chuck, if you will kind of complete that and see if we're on the right track there, because I'm thinking that's what he's thinking is different types of chemicals that are in the water because we don't know what people are dumping in. He went with pesticide.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So they are checking for pesticides.
Yeah, I will contact Elaine Wong from the city and talk to her about the different types of. You get a little more granular on what they're actually, aside from like ammonia and nitrates and chlorophyll and things of that nature. Are they going to be looking at things like pesticides and stuff?
Brian?
When you talk to her, Carmine, ask her what her interest level would be in having a Zoom call and a live meeting with citizens. See what she thinks about that, because that seems like we'd probably get quite a few citizens who are interested in exactly what she's doing, how she's doing it, when she's doing it, and what the results are actually going to indicate.
Well, and I'm going to let you guys know now that I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and I've been doing a lot of call-ins, and actually Chuck English, he was one that said, "Hey, do a call-in." It was good. So what I'd like to do on the 5th Friday or 5th Monday of the month is to open up the common grounds and invite everyone in to the common grounds and do a kind of a roundtable discussion and really have, Mrs. Wong come in and maybe be front dead center and not only just take questions on the air, but live from the audience. And I think having people get together, we've got to start somewhere. So why not start driving people to one location and get them involved in the conversation? I think everybody wants their 3 minutes of fame, whether it be on Facebook or the radio. And I think everybody wants to hear the voice.
I think that's a great idea, John.
Awesome. So, Chuck has been pivotal in giving me some insight on when I should do the call in and things like that. And the truth of the matter is if it wasn't for Chuck that day, the two people that I was talking to wouldn't have been on the radio together. So that's all Chuck English right there. I have to give him a lot of credit for that. So
great idea, Chuck.
Yeah, so it's not that we don't listen to people out in the city of Northport. They're giving insight to me on how to become better at what I'm doing and really get people involved. And Northport Forward is trying to do exactly that. And you guys are listening to multiple people to try to drive this thing home. And I think it's the only way that we can get information out to a city that kind of seems stagnant. I'm going to use that word because I think it fits on getting involved in their town or even trying to figure out what's happening. And I want to ask you guys another question, because I know that the city manager's idea of go where people are at, please tell me that you guys are going to go to football games and baseball games and the water parks and really start engaging with people, because I love Brian's shirt. And if people see him walking around with that and really just trying to get them engaged, I think we could drive a lot of information to people. That's a cool shirt, but a nice logo too. But what do you think of that, Carmine?
I think that's a great idea. And, we were just at the groundbreaking for Welland Park, which was a terrific opportunity to meet and to learn about all the different things that they're doing, and a tremendous asset to the city of Northport. And we've had some discussions with different people, and I introduced myself and talked about Northport Forward and what it is that we do. So yeah, any opportunity that we get to let people know, and plus we're always looking for volunteers. We would welcome any in getting the word out and doing research on getting the facts out to the people. That's the only way that we're going to do things better and to make everybody informed and to get the people out to, when the time comes, to represent the city and to also represent their opinions by coming out and vote and having that representation.
Well, and I'm gonna finish that with Mr. English here. Chuck, is his primary concern, and if you can throw that question up that just came through, his primary concern is with the contaminants in the sediment, because, and I'm assuming because we've let things settle for so long, that would give us a better idea of the contaminants in the soil. Are they going to really kind of dig in and kind of check the soil out and what's there?
I think that's a very good question, Chuck. I, at this point, do not know the answer to that, but like I said, reach out to Elaine and see whether or not that is going to be considered and look to stress that point, because that makes absolutely perfect sense.
It does. Yeah, if it's going to leach out of septic systems, it's going to leach out of the canal beds as well. And so decades of accumulation could be pretty detrimental.
Absolutely. One other thing, John, I want to mention, I talked a little bit about and the people putting out their opinions to the Army Corps of Engineers, but also Mosaic. There were a couple of articles in the newspaper last few weeks about the EPA says no to fertilizer waste in roads. They have, Mosaic has what they call gypsum stacks. It's byproduct of their mining, and they have been, I guess, putting that into road development. And now, the EPA says no. Actually, Mosaic is fighting that, saying that the cancer risks of using this is exaggerated. And I know that the DeSoto County Commissioners as well are against Mosaic. Own currently 23,000 acres in DeSoto County, and they went forward to try to change the zoning on 14,000 acres so that they can do mining. And Charlotte County, I believe the Northport Commissioners also sent a letter because, toxic water coming downstream affects all of us. So, they've been having regular workshops in DeSoto County to talk about the situation, and those will continue until 2023 when Mosaic plans to reapply. I guess they're waiting maybe for a whole new batch of commissioners so they can go forward and reapply. But citizens need to speak up against both of these Mosaic. Now, I've looked at the articles closely. There's really no other contact information, but I've reached out to both staff writers for both articles to get some links. So as soon as I have those, I can put that in the comments as well.
Awesome. The biggest thing is to try to get people to read the article and to understand. Is there a link that you can attach
to the actual article? I guess I can take a picture of it and we'll put it out on Northport Forward.
All right, that sounds great. And make sure that you guys, when you're done today, put all the contact in the comment section, and then if you could get your people to share this information, that's a big thing about getting this information out. The more people that share it, the more people end up seeing it. So a group the size of yours right now, even in the growing stages, it's amazing how much information can get out if we just encourage people to hit the share button. That's
also what we're doing. It's not digital, but I've created a portfolio of all the different articles and also of the Senate Bill 712 in a portfolio book that when we do have open meetings, that residents can thumb through and look at articles and read some articles or take some pictures of them and have them to read later on. So that's something that we figured we'd be able to share with the residents at the meetings.
How important is it for people to get involved in the water situation now. I know that there's a good sized group of people out there trying to get signatures on stopping public sewer and public water. Good luck with that. Certain things have to move forward at certain times. And unfortunately, people have forgotten, and I even had this conversation off the air last Monday. Septic tanks are not governed like in our city or our county, like they are south of us. There's a I think it's every 4 years they have to go in and they have to certify that the tank is good. They do the inspection, and they have to turn that into the Department of Health. I think it's a great idea to do that, because anybody who's got an old septic tank, they don't want to fix it if it's leaking because it's going to cost them money. But I as a real estate agent, I'm just going to remind people that water is not free and sewer is not free when you're on septic and well. You have to pay to maintain those because that's what the city does to maintain those things. And so if you don't pay into your own kitty, so to speak, when it comes time to have to replace a septic or leach field or even work on your well, things there we go, every 5 years. But every 5 years is cool with me. I'm okay with that. I think it's a great idea. Everybody's going to say, John, you're not on septic and you're not on well. Nope, I'm not. But guess what? We're talking about a scenario that's playing out, that the septic tank could be in your drinking water. And if everybody in this town decides that they're not going to fix their septic tank, things could go south in a hurry. Do you guys want to add anything to that?
Well, I had stated when I was on your show the last time that, drinking water, we can't survive. And
repeat that again because you blanked out.
Drinking water is the lifeblood of humanity. If we don't have water, we're not going to survive. I think without water, I think you're able to last maybe 3 days, and then especially with the intense heat. So I mean, I know with a lot of folks, arguing against this, yes, I just bought a house that has a brand new septic tank. I just can't see, putting, converting. It's a monetary decision, but this is a life or death type of situation. If we don't do something now, we may be dated down the road and have no choice, and then we just blew any chance of getting any kind of a grant. And I know, Charlotte County, Cape Coral, Lee County, they've looked for grants for the people that help out. They've looked for different ways of making payments and stuff like that. So I know that Northport is looking to do the same exact thing, and part of the design is to get on the map with the state so that if there are any grant monies out there, we can be in line to get that. We don't want to wait for that to get depleted and then we're on our own. But no, it's key, it's important that we consider this. I mean, it's not just monetary, it's not money only. This is a life and death situation. We have to preserve our drinking water. And we've got more and more people, more and more building. The real estate prove that there's going to be the city is growing at a rapid pace, and it will continue to grow in spite of people trying to stop it. So it's now or what's the old saying? The Fram air filters. See me now or see me later. So
correct.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. English said water capacity will be the next major issue, and the cost reasons for municipalities want to go
toilet to tap.
Yeah, toilet to tap, and that actually I have spoken with him about this, and things are nearing us around the corner. We're kind of in a situation right now where if people don't start paying attention to the mosaics of the world, to the contaminants that Mr. English is talking about, in our drinking water and possibly in our drinking water today in our canals. These are all things that we're not trying to drum up some negative press. We're just trying to drum up the people's interest so they understand what the battle is, so they can get involved, understand the rules, understand what's happening, and then maybe have some insight on how they can switch over. Because if you don't start talking about it now, maybe you get grandfather claused in for a little while because you got the new tank and you can prove that you got the new tank. Maybe that's down the road. There's just all kinds of things that the city can do to make some adjustments along the way. But, tanks are only supposed to last about 20 to 25 years if they're taken care of precisely all the time. And I got to tell you, I've sold enough houses. People don't take care of them precisely all the time, just like they don't take care of their well equipment precisely all the time. There's a lot of people, and I want you to think about this for a second because I'll let you guys add into this. There are a lot of people out there that are on well water that won't spend the money to correct the well situation, but they'll spend money every day on buying bottled water to supplement what they're doing and not think about what's happening to the environment with all the plastics that are being made and the expenditure that's there. Do you want to add anything in? I see you shaking your head, Carmine.
No, I agree with you. It's not, there are a lot of people that are on fixed incomes, a lot of people that are retired. Can you come up with $15,000 to $30,000? No, it's a difficult situation.
Correct.
It's also, I'm a proponent for maintenance on my vehicles, on my home. Something's broken, get it fixed. I see on Nextdoor a lot of people talking about this black stuff coming out of their wells. I talk about, people were talking about people walking dogs, not picking up after the dogs. Well, when it rains, that stuff leaches down the sidewalk, down street into one of the rivers, and eventually its way into a water source that we're all drinking. So, yeah, it's a legitimate concern, and hopefully the city is looking at different ways to make this a little less of a burden for the residents. And if we do the right thing too with economic development and bring some good commercial in here, the city would be in a better position financially that maybe it won't cost $15,000 to $30,000. Maybe they can offset some of that expense. So that's why it's important. Let's all dialogue. Let's learn something from somebody, and let's get the facts, and then let's all move forward together as a city, as a human society, working in unison, and make this place the best it can be. This is supposed to be paradise, where we live, between the weather and everything. And let's make the water situation that way also, because without it, you can kiss this goodbye.
Well, it sounds to me like Mr. English has picked up two people right now who now have an interest level in what he is talking about too, which is the sediment contaminants. And Brian, I just love the fact that the show is really based around getting people to talk and get it out there. And Chuck knows a lot about the water situation and has a lot of insight there. And just hearing you guys kind of agree with him, I think it shows some support for him too. And I think it's going to turn some heads if you guys can get together and get things moving forward on that. But Brian, go ahead.
Well, I cannot sit here and say I have all the answers, and I'll never do that. I always want to hear what other people have to say, and then let's hash it out and say, okay, let's get everyone's opinions, everybody's data, everybody's facts, and put it together and say, how can we move forward in such a way that most people, at least, are going to be satisfied with the way it's going. Now, I think the testing you're talking about, Carmine, on the water, that's additional testing to what's normally done, right?
I have to admit, I don't know if testing has been done all this time, but I know
I think they,
the
well,
man,
Chuck probably knows better than any of us because he's
yeah,
on the environmental advisory board.
I think
But
I think they're doing testing, but not as in depth as
right,
what they're talking about doing now, and not in the canals. They weren't. I don't believe they're testing in the canals.
I had
right,
read, I'm sorry, Brian, I had read an
okay,
article about Charlotte County and the new gentleman, Brandon Moody, who's their water quality manager. And he was saying that they're doing a lot of testing in Charlotte Harbor, Upper Charlotte Harbor and Charlotte Harbor, and that they wish that Northport can do more. So we definitely need to be doing this. I'm not sure whether or not that's actually been taking place.
Okay. And Chuck, if you've got anything to add, please do. But we're actually nearing the end of the show, believe it or not. I can't believe that we've managed to talk our way through this. Nobody has all the answers. If we don't ask questions, I look forward to chatting with you gentlemen over coffee. I got to tell you, you go to coffee with Chuck, be prepared to learn a lot. He's a wealth of information. I really appreciate him and everything he's trying to do for the city. I appreciate you guys because you guys are really trying to get some traction out there and get people to listen, get people involved. And anytime that you're doing that, it's a thankless job, by the way. But anything I can do to help, let me know. I definitely want to do the open conversation on the fourth or fifth Monday or Friday of the month. And we're going to get that started here pretty soon. So I'll get with the station manager and get that going, and we'll invite the citizens out. I think it's a great idea, and I'm glad you guys are out there to support it. So this is John Rawlings with Remax Palm and WKDW 97.5 Real Talk Radio. Brian, thank you so much. Carmine, thank you so much. Please share this video. These guys are out there working hard to make Northport forward and the city of Northport a better place to be. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time.